Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between SlayerS Ryung versus Liquid Sheth here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. And just to confuse things a little bit further, SlayerS Ryung playing on account named Zerg. So I cannot refer to them as Tyrann or Zerg. I will try to refer to them as Ryung, and Sheth as Zerg is not really Zerg in this instance. We have Ryung spawning as the red Terran player on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Liquid Sheth spawning on the top right-hand side as the blue Zerg. So it is going to be red Terran versus blue Zerg. Maybe I will just refer to it as red versus blue in this matchup, as it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see what the SlayerS players are trying to do in order to stop a Zerg, especially on a map like Xel'Naga Caverns. You got to be very, very specific, and you have most likely a very specific build order as a Terran player. As a Zerg player in this matchup, you more react to what your opponent is trying to do. If your opponent does try to double rack you, then you need to be able to respond. You need to be smart, have a couple drones ready to stop and intercept any of those Marines. Drones do have a faster movement speed than Marines early on. So that means that there is a limit to the amount of stutter step that a Marine will be able to pull off. This time around, though, you can see that Ryung going for a 13 gas as opposed to, say, a dual racks build here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. And we'll see whether or not this is going to be effective. Now, first of all, this is still patch 136. Today, patch 140 was released, and that was a very, very big nerf to Terran in terms of those Blue Flame Hellions. Personally, I've been trying to avoid using any Blue Flame Hellions at all, just to see what other builds I can come up with. But we'll see how Terran players do respond and react, especially with the number of Terran players in Code S right now, whether or not Blue Flame Hellions are still as dominant in that portion of the matchup. You can see that it was an extractor pool placed down by Sheth. A very, very smart build if you think that your opponent is going to be trying to put down pressure on you. The metabolic boosted Lings gets a lot more map control early on, as they are able to cover the map very, very quickly. You can see no more gas being harvested by Sheth any longer. Back over here, no tech lab, so it looks like a factory should be coming in right behind it. There's that factory, and based upon the building, you could see this one barracks lift off, build a reactor here, and then try to do a little bit of a swap later on. We are going to have one SCV trying to run away from those Zerglings. Those Zerglings are moving slightly faster than that one SCV there. The SCV gonna take a little bit of damage over time. Oh, the SCV able to back off down to 10 hit points though, and I believe that scouting SCV will be destroyed. Back over here, we did have a liftoff of the barracks, and we are building a reactor. These two are going to be swapping locations in just a bit. However, if Ryung decided to feel like it, he could try to start one Hellion first, and then let a little bit of time before swapping with that one reactor here. We are going to continue to see the Zerglings continue to make their way across. You can see that a reactor is nearly completed. We are going to be getting a liftoff here in just a moment. The Zergling, however, does spot that one reactor and sees the Hellions being trained off of that one reactor. As you can see, the little lights coming on from inside the factory, and that's the only thing you can build from a factory with a reactor. Supply depot being built off to the north as well. Sheth being very careful to position these overlords in a way where he can spot any drops if the medevacs try to hide along the edges. Meanwhile, Sheth is expanding naturally over here at the 12 o'clock position. Queen already ready to take care of that hatchery, as we should most likely see Sheth start to power drone just a little bit. He doesn't have a Roach Warren though, that worries me. Without a Roach Warren, he's going to be forced to only use Zerglings to try to deal with these Hellions. He will have a couple Queens, but these Hellions will be able to three-shot a Zergling very easily. And now you can see, oh, the Hellions are going to be perhaps microed just a little bit. The Queens do have a slightly lesser range. The metabolic boosted Lings has been completed already, as the Hellions perhaps waiting for more partners in crime before pushing in. You can see that more Hellions are being added. It looks like there are going to be a total of 6 Hellions. No, going into double factory, double reactor. So this is a strictly mass Hellion play, and it doesn't look like any Blue Flame tech will be coming in anytime soon. So this is a very strange build. The Zergling sees that there is one factory, but he doesn't see the other factory back here with another reactor. That is going to be a rather strange opening there. All of this is off of one gas. Ryung is over harvesting at his main base right now. He needs to transfer some SCVs over, as where are those Hellions? There's Hellions here, and Hellions here. Taking a look at the losses, only the scouting SCV was taken down, as we mentioned earlier, as Hellions are now cleaning up the rest of those Zerglings. So this is rather strange that we see this many Hellions in play, as Ryung is currently supply blocked 53 over 54, now at 59 over 62. And he could end up supply blocking himself once again, sitting at 61 over 62. A lot of Zerglings in the field. We do have Sheth now getting some roaches, but the sheer number of Hellions may be too much. We're talking about maybe about 10 Hellions right now, and 10 Hellions dealing 80 splash damage is a lot of damage to deal with. They do attack fairly quickly, and they are constantly on the move. Sheer mass numbers finishing this off, and you can see one queen gonna get destroyed in that exchange. Hellions now going after those Zerglings, and I don't think that really Sheth was really expecting this many Hellions, as mass Hellions just running rampant through the base now and taking down so many drones. No blue flame research at all, and still able to get off a lot of worker kills. 15 worker kills in that battle. You can see one low hit point Hellion in the back. It doesn't look like anything will be happening there. It's just going to be a glass cannon dealing 8 damage of splash. 14 against those light armored units, as we can now see 3 Hellions pushing their way forward once again. Not quite sure what these Hellions want to do. Oh, they're just going to get destroyed, as 2 Hellions quickly taken down. 1 Hellion left. This Hellion now going to go after some of those drones, as the roaches are being very smart and trying to respond back again. So Sheth not falling for the bait, not going to lose any more drones in that engagement there, as there were a decent number of drones already transferred back to that low ground. Ryung, now after getting that a decent number of worker kills, let's see where he's at. He still is behind 39 compared to 43, but there is still a much larger army, and these Hellions could deal a lot more damage if it was for not for these roaches. The roaches countering those Hellions absolutely perfectly, with a range of 4 and a decent attack speed. The roaches are not going to want to be again try to engage one Hellion. That low hit point Hellion does get taken down, as those Hellions are now backing off once more. 10 Hellions now, perhaps going to try to retreat just a little bit. More Marines are being trained back at home. It looks like it has been swapped over to reactored Marines. Those Marines will be able to destroy many of those Mutalisks. Unfortunately, there is no tech lab on a barracks right now, so we are not going to see stim. Meanwhile, Sheth is going into a spire. The spire being built off over here in the corner of the base. Spawning pool as well, just sitting there creating more Zerglings, obviously, or allowing more Zerglings to be trained, as we are now going into double supply depots on the backside here. This one, SAB, running away just in time. Will the Zerglings be able to finish off this? The Hellions, though, the siege tanks now trying to make their way over. One Zergling able to finish it off, or finish off one of those SCVs, but another SCV gonna make its way over. We are gonna get Hellions up on the high ground, Hellions up on the low ground, and those Zerglings are gonna have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide pretty much. The Hellions now backing forth, and we are gonna see, yes, all of those Zerglings quickly and easily destroyed by this army of Hellions. Marines, siege tanks, and Hellions are once again doing another push. The spire is up. We currently do not have any Mutalisks, though. Now, I speak too soon. We are now training up 10 Mutalisks with level 1 weapons upgrade. Could easily get into 11 or 12 Mutalisks, as now we are clearing out these creep tumors. So the Marines and the siege tanks are going to try to put in a bit of pressure. The roaches trying to buy time against this ever-encroaching army. Sheth now having a macro hatch as well. This one queen taking a lot of damage, as the siege tank should be sieging up. Yes, they are going to siege up now and try to draw a line in the sand. However, the Mutalisks going to be able to take down some of those Marines. The Marines do not have stim. The Mutalisks are getting shot down. The roaches are now trying to push in as well, and it looks like all the Marines will get destroyed. And Ryung in a bit of trouble now, as his siege tanks will not be able to do anything any longer. The Mutalisks, excuse me, able to destroy all of these siege tanks, and Ryung getting caught a little bit off guard there is now going to have more losses. Sheth taking a very decisive battle there. 55 harvesters compared to 50. It looks like another siege tank will get destroyed. Yes, down goes another. A bunker is in play though, and that bunker is enough to force these Mutalisks to retreat. The Mutalisks, many of them are low on hit points already. Missile turrets are being built. It's going to be rather difficult trying to play this very, very safely. The Mutalisks getting very close, and now even a missile turret joining in on the fight as those Mutalisks are forced to back off. I believe Sheth trying to hold and trying to siege his opponent here. This may turn out to be a very bad engagement. He does have a third hatchery up, as now a supply depot may get destroyed here. Marines taking a little bit of that glaive worm chain damage as the Mutalisks continuing to push even further, lowering the supply depot to allow the Marines to stand on the supply depot and fight back against those Mutalisks. Currently, Mutalisks in the air, roaches on the ground. Sheth being very careful to double expand now. We can see that there are destructible rocks here, not yet destroyed. This hatchery is still about 90 seconds away from being completed. Meanwhile, Ryung does currently have this command center here, but he has no real way of landing it. Trying to land it here is impossible due to these destructible rocks, and trying to transfer SCVs to here would be near suicide, as they would be forced to come around the backside, along the front or the backside as well. Mutalisks once again pushing forward. It looks like this supply depot will burn down unless an SCV does come over, and we'll see whether or not, yes, Ryung very, very careful to not allow his supply depots to be destroyed, as Sheth now sitting on a slight army advantage. I believe, what, 25 unit army advantage. One siege tank may get destroyed here. No, down to 18 hit points. It does get destroyed. The Marines do finally have stim, as this set of destructible rocks will get destroyed here. There are still a couple free supply depots off over in the distance here. It looks like these supply depots will get destroyed in just a moment. One supply depot already down. Another supply depot will get taken down as well. That Mutalisk, however, needs to be careful, as one, I believe, does get destroyed. The Marines unable to make their way over, as the destructible rocks will fall. Still no medevacs yet. The first medevac finally being trained, or the third medevac finally being trained. And this is a little bit curious, as a heavy investment into Marines, as we are also seeing a missile turret now being placed down as well. Sheth now getting very close to that magical 200. As soon as he gets there, he will want to try to engage, but a planetary fortress may be here to meet and greet all of those Zerglings and those Banelings. A bunker also being built as well to try to limit the amount of surface area that it has. There is that planetary fortress now coming online, as Sheth has this expansion already running, and this expansion should be set up in just a moment. A little curious as to why Sheth is not currently mining additional gas off in this corner here. He definitely needs the gas for those Mutalisks and those very gas-intensive Zerg units. We are still sitting at tier 2, no tech to tier 3 at all. I don't even see an infestation pit, as the Marines getting a couple free shots on the Mutalisks once more. The Mutalisks are deciding to back off here, as the Roaches and Banelings are getting ready for perhaps a push. Zerg is going to have Zerg is going to have a very difficult time trying to beat Terran here, as Ryung does have that planetary fortress. Marines did stim their way in, and now the Banelings may try to push in. No, that siege tank able to get off a couple quick blasts, and now that it looks like the siege tanks are going to continue that push forward once again. There are a couple creep tumors down, as well as the Marines were trying to clear up this drop over here. Drones able to make drones are able to stack up on top of themselves, making it a little bit more difficult. And now down goes another medevac. 21 worker kills compared to 11, 63 SCVs versus 60 drones. We are seeing a lot of Roaches and Banelings once more, and the Marines trying to fight back, able to get off a lot of easy kills, especially on those Banelings that were burrowed here. We are getting another swarm of flock of Mutalisks now destroying more supply depots off on the side, and Sheth just doing a constant harassment and doing a great job so far. In comes a Thor though, and that Thor just turned half a dozen Mutalisks into yellow, and that missile turret may have been able to get a kill. No, I do not think so there. We can see the destructible rocks are still off over here. It needs to get taken down. Sheth about to get into that magical 200 food. We'll see what he is currently waiting for. He does not have that many larvae saved up. Only 9 across all of his hatcheries so far. He really needs to stay up on top of his macro to be able to replenish that. No spawn larva here, no spawn larva here, no spawn larva here or here. So Sheth's macro is slightly falling at this stage, as we are finally going into an infestation pit and an evolution chamber. Siege tanks and Marines once again pushing forward. It looks like those Mutalisks will be backing off, and now perhaps going to try to engage the Marines, able to get off an easy shot there alongside a Thor. The Thor getting off some easy damage once more, as the Mutalisks are just trying to keep as much map control as possible. This one missile turret trying to distract from anything there, as the siege tanks are slowly pushing their way forward and primarily denying creep. Now we can see that the Mutalisks are once again trying to fly in, and oh, another Thor round of attack, getting in a lot of splash damage. Center tower quickly destroyed, Zerglings quickly destroyed, as well as the Marines holding their own, as Ryung now doing a very slow but steady push. Zerglings getting absolutely destroyed there, as Sheth needs to reconsider what he wants to do in this engagement. Banelings currently, a lot of Banelings off over here. We'll see what will be happening as the Marines are now trying to push their way in. More Roaches pushing in once again. Mutalisks able to get off some damage, but the Thor able to get off a round of Javelin missiles as well. Those Mutalisks being forced to pull back, as Sheth now sitting at 178 over 200. And we see that Ryung has finally caught up, and he has the minerals to spare in order to get up to 200 food. Sheth now in a bit of trouble. This third base, very difficult to defend. These rocks have not been destroyed as of yet. Zerglings still filing over here from this 3 o'clock expansion location, as the Mutalisks able to take down that one scouting Marine there. And now we'll see what's going to be happening here, as the Marines able to push back this army once more. It looks like this hatchery will fall in just a second. Another sensor tower will get destroyed. Down it goes. More Marines once again pushing their way through, and army compositions about even so far. Only a slight discrepancy between minerals and gas. In comes a large engagement here. Let me go ahead and rewind to capture this. There's going to be a large number of Zerglings, Banelings, and Roaches. They are now pushing together right as we do see a scanner sweep, and now the Zerglings are now pushing in. The Mutalisks are taking a lot of damage from that Thor. That Thor, however, now focusing onto the ground units, as the Banelings are trying to push their way in. A lot of Marines getting destroyed here, and this is not... I can't actually tell who has the upper hand in this time, as the Marines are pushing back and forth. It looks like Sheth does have a lot of more counter units, and oh, that medevac low on hit points, but Vikings taking to the skies and able to push this attack back. Very lucky. If Ryung had lost that full medevac, I'm not quite sure Ryung would have been able to still stick in this, as that would have been a 500 resource or 600 resource loss just right there. Banelings now rolling in, getting some damage onto that one Thor, but that's not a lot of damage to really talk about, as we now see Infestors being added. The Infestors that look like they do have fungal growth. Some fungal growth should be able to destroy many of these SCVs. You can see SCVs are down off over here. It is 4 bases versus 3 base play. These Zerglings really need to finish off this one planetary fortress. And now in comes some fungal growth. Nice timing with those Infestors, as the Infestors are now, gonna get targeted and finished off by Marines. A horrible loss by Sheth, as Banelings are trying to finish off the rest of those Marines, but I believe that will be GG in just a moment, as we now have a 4,000 or 6,000 resource army compared to a 500 resource army. We are getting more Zerglings and Infestors, but we are also getting into Seeker Missile. Not quite sure what the Seeker Missile will be used for. Drones trying to run away. It looks like they will be able to. Drones moving at a decent speed, gonna come back around the corner, try to hide, but I believe these 3-2 upgraded Marines will be able to destroy a lot more of these drones before the drones do return home. We are now running off of 1 base play, if you can call that, from Sheth, as he only has 2 drones mining back at home. More and more drones now returning home, as an Infestor quickly getting destroyed. Siege tanks pushing their way forward, even outside of siege mode, dealing a lot of damage. And there is the GG. Sheth losing game 1 in the series to SlayerS Ryung. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.